Welcome back, everybody. Today was a fairly productive day. I got the last interior ribs sealed in the right tank. A few more trials and errors to figure out the gist of how to do this. I think some things have worked out a little better. There you can see me using I think that's a makeup palette I ordered off of Amazon to mix this stuff on, which is nice because it's both clear and small enough that it fits on my scale and I can still read the scale, and it's definitely stiff, so mixing is a lot easier. I'll keep those plastic sheets I've got for just setting random tools and stuff on, and then I can just rip off a sheet and throw it away, so that worked out. And then freeing up a hand, figured out I could use that drill press vise. I use that thing for so many things. Help hold the rib while I slather more stuff on. Also learned that those very top two holes that you just saw me put Clecos in, according to the Vans video, those can be some of the tougher ones to actually set rivets in. And since you can reach it with the squeezer, they recommend doing it with the squeezer. And I wholeheartedly agree. After doing the first one with the rivet gun, I wasn't happy with the way it ended up setting, because it really wants to pull away at that top edge. So the squeezer did a much better job. So for the rest of these, including this one, I just busted out the squeezer and squeezed those very last top two. Those were the last ones I ended up setting. So now it's just Cleco the whole thing in place, make sure it's all lined up. Use a little bit of paper to clean out the holes. That part works pretty well. And then go through and put rivets in and get ready to start riveting. So many glove changes. Gloves and acetone. You cannot have enough of it doing this job. I just started a fresh box of gloves. I will probably need another box before this is actually over. So here's the second rib of the day. I mixed up 50 grams of sealant when I started just a little while ago. And I had so much left over after that first rib that I was worried it might go to waste, so I decided before I finished setting the rivets, I would get the next rib buttered up and put in place. And it was a bit too far. I had enough to kind of do it, but I now don't have enough left to finish the fillets or set all of the little caps on top of all of the rivets. So I did this batch of 2, and then I cleaned up, took a break for a little bit. It is still taking me about an hour per rib with all the setup, cleanup, everything else. So I did these 2, took a break, and then I came back and did the last 2. So here you see me on that second rib, finishing up the last of the rivets where the Clecos were. And now there's the squeezer. More gloves, because I need to mix more sealant. I'm using what little I've got to try and finish those fillets, but I'm pretty well scraping that palette for what little I can get off of it now. Also, doing 2 at a time, it made it more difficult to get to the fillets than it needed to, so do one, finish the fillets, then do the other one. So I think for this I just mixed up another 30 grams just to finish the fillets and do the caps. And yeah, that's what I'm doing now, is just finishing off those fillets. And those, again, those silicone spatulas really seem to do a nice job of making a nice clean fillet. The leak test will be the true test. So now I'm going to go finish and cap off each of the rivets, and instead of using the vent tube, since I have my 3D printer, I went ahead and designed a little cap tool. It's got a recessed dome in it, and it's slightly wider than the vent tube I was using. Printed up a bunch of them. There they are right there. Basically, I'm just using them as disposable tools. Yep. First session's done. Sealant all over my elbows. On to the second session. Anyhow, the little cap tools I made work great, and there's hardly any material in them. They're cheap and they're quick to print. So I just printed me a bunch of them, and I will just use one per session and then just throw it away rather than have to deal with trying to clean the tube up and reuse it and make it work. And it actually makes a nice wide cap on the rivets. I should have got a picture of that. Unfortunately, I didn't. I'll try and get it on the next one. So now it is the third rib of the day. Again, I mixed up 50 grams of sealant and then the appropriate amount of hardener. Except this time I decided I wasn't going to start a second rib. So I'm getting this one installed, and then I'm going to use what's left of that sealant to just finish this one off. Do the fillets and cap all the rivets. And speaking of leak testing, I'm kicking around the idea. I don't know if anybody's done this. I don't know if it's a good idea, bad idea, but before I put the baffle in, once I get the end ribs on, at that point, this thing should be liquid tight once it cures. So I'm kind of tempted and wondering if I should put it in the cradle just like it is there, and then fill it up with water and let it set and see if I start getting any leaks, because it would be a whole lot easier to fix any of those areas now if it was leaking fluid than it would be later on once that baffle is on, especially if it's anywhere that I can't reach through the access hole. Anyways, random thought. Not sure if it's something I want to do or should do. For me to do that, I would also have to have the end plate installed, which also means I'd have to have the fuel sender in and everything else. So again, I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Water definitely weighs more than fuel, so it may be too much stress on the tank. Maybe not. I don't know. So now I'm taking what's left of the sealant and finishing up the fillets. I may cut the back end of that spatula off the handle. It is just long enough that if I'm not holding it at the right angle, when I'm in between the ribs like that, it's getting caught on the flanges of the ribs or the flanges of the skin stiffeners. And now I'm taking the capping tool and just capping off all of the rivets. Again, much easier without that other rib there. I can just reach straight in and do what I need to do. Alright, mixing up the last bit. And here's where I gotta start adjusting a little bit more. I just made another 50 grams even though I still had some left over. So I definitely didn't need that much. I had a little bit left over. And 50 grams ends up being, I think, like 1.7 ounces, in case anybody's wondering. I don't know if I'll have enough sealant to make it all the way through or not. I think I will, especially since I have the 2 cartridges for the Semco gun. That is going to be my preferred method for putting the rear baffle in. I hope 1 cartridge per baffle will be enough, but we'll find out. So, same as all the others, get it pushed into place, seated really well, and then clecoed, riveted, and here you see me going through and finishing it off through the magic of editing. Here's a interior shot I didn't get one going the other way. It's definitely messier the other direction, but you can kind of see the fillets there. And that's the outside after kind of cleaning it up. It doesn't look half bad. True test is going to be whether or not it holds liquid. So since I had a little bit of sealant left, I decided I would go ahead and install those nut plates for the access panel. And I think I mentioned in a previous video through another online suggestion, I went ahead and bought the completely encapsulated nut plates that have like a little mini gasket on them as well. Since I'm not sure how well they're going to seal, I'm going ahead and I'm just putting a little dab of sealant on them anyhow, just to help hold them down. What I didn't plan on was, because they're completely enclosed nut plates, they're even harder to reach with a squeezer than a normal nut plate would be. And I should have abandoned the squeezer after the first one. It was really, really difficult to try and get them set. I'm not happy with the way a couple of them came out. So there's a few that are probably going to have to come back out, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and use the rivet gun and the bucking bar to set them, and it'll probably make things much better. For the left tank, that's exactly what I'll do with all of them. This one, I'm going to let it sit until I get back from this next work trip, and then I'll look at it and see how I feel about it. Maybe drill them out and try it again. Speaking of that, I am leaving tomorrow, so there'll be no video updates for a week and a half-ish. I'll be back around the 4th, and hopefully I'll get moving with the rest of this right tank and get started on that left tank and get this thing knocked out. I am not a fan of the sealant, so I'm getting better with it, but I will definitely be happy to move on to the next phase of building. Anyhow, if you guys haven't subscribed already, please do so. Helps the channel out. I've got links listed below for affiliate links if you're interested in any of the stuff that I've bought off of Amazon that I've thought about putting on there. If there's stuff I haven't listed that you're curious about, let me know and I'll throw it in there. Any questions, comments, concerns, please throw them down below, and I hope you all enjoy, and I'll see you on the next one.